Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 29th of January. So, what lovelies have we got in store today apart from the FOMC, of course? Let's just go and have a look. So just update the calendar here to put the data on that's come out already. Australian data not looking particularly sweet there. The inflation dropping a little bit lower than expected, so that's not so good for the Aussie dollar, but the trimmed mean is slightly off as well. It's not too far away. It's still above the 2%, but it's not. It's remaining quite intransigent, difficult, hard. Right. So rest of today then. Okay, we've got the Chinese spring holiday. We've got the Bank of Canada there at 2:45. Expected to cut the rates yet again to 3% from 3.25. I'm not seeing much differing there. And then later on, crude inventories, got to be mindful of these numbers coming out if you're short on oil, of course. But if you're short on oil, you just leave it as alone. Bank of Canada press conference, right? Sorry, that was earlier. Federal funds rate then, the Fed meeting, FOMC, expected to be left alone there. I don't expect too much, but it's really what comes out in the statement and conference, which you might just get a bit more guidance there. Probably not a lot more. It's early days of the new president, isn't it? So it's going to take him a time to see what effects what he does has on the markets to a degree. So they're more likely to sit still a bit, unless they can see data coming out not so well. Okay, you've got the ECB tomorrow, just to pre-warn you on that as well. Right, let's look at these markets then. The euro dollar, it's looking soft here, a bit of a pivot swing on the dailies, swinging down there. Break of these yesterday's lows sort of signifies further downside. Looking soft on across all of these time frames really at the moment. We've seen a structural change. We see a break of the low from yesterday's morning. That would give us, it's nearly there actually, that would give us a signal of further downside here, potential anyway. So euro looking soft at this stage. That's the euro. The pound very similar, same sort of, oh no, it's so similar. It is very similar. It hasn't quite got the proper swing in there as I count it, but it's got the similar candles there, and looking a bit soft, although hand railing at the moment on its trend line now. To me it just probably looks a bit flaggy on the lower time frames. Oh no, it's ugly on the lower time frames, but it's still got this chance of breaking down. It looks like the S1 could be a reasonable target here if it does break down. I've got to speak slower, that's my problem. My brain can't keep up with, or my mouth can't keep up with the brain, whichever way it is, I don't know. Anyway, a breakdown of this sort of level, below the 34 basically, would look like a possible entry. US dollar yen. So US dollar yen. So it's still hanging below my entry, but hanging's the word. It's not really moving too much here at all. It's got back into its mess. It was sitting for most of last week in the mess, and it's decided it wants to stay in there. I'm still sitting here scratching my head whether to stay in the move or just cut it. Yeah. There's not a lot to be said on that at the moment. Aussie dollar. The Aussie dollar would be good, please. Come on, you can show me it. There we go. Again, we'd seen that sort of a bit of a bearish sort of signal yesterday, and it well, day before yesterday really followed through, and it is just looking at a little bit softer. It hasn't really gone too much, but the short side's got it. If you're in the trades and you're patient and you're in it early enough, You've got chances here. That said, you look at most of yesterday, where during our period there was barely any movement, and once again it's gone with the news. And already down to its S1. The only thing here, it is putting in sort of a weaker signal here in terms of the price. It's come up, it's failed again towards its 34, not quite in it. Next bar, if we get a continuation break of the S1, we could see the S2 hit at some stage. But just as easily with all of these markets, we could end up in a consolidation phase whilst we wait for the FOMC data. US dollar CAD. I didn't mention it here, but I mentioned it in the room earlier. The FOMC, the meeting for the Fed meeting later on, it's nearly 100% chance of it staying where it is, according to figures. So, just in case you think I'll bet against the dollar there, probably be the best trade you ever make if they did change something. Anyway, US dollar CAD, foolishly taken though. US dollar CAD still in this horrible. I'm not even going to come down any further. I'm going to have a look just because I have to. Actually, yeah, it's looking like it's going to run up towards its R1 pretty quickly. We've got to remember we're not that far away from these near-term highs. I say near-term. It's not really near-term, is it? It's long-term highs is back here. We have to come out to the monthly to get sort of figures where it's been last week. Anyway, it's pushing back up towards those levels. New Zealand dollar very similar to the Aussie. If I can pick it up, that'll be good. There we go. Very similar picture. Yesterday coming off this morning at the moment. Very slow movement, consolidated. Not gone quite as quick on the lower time frames, but it's preparing itself for the downside by the looks of things. It does look very weak. I think with a lot of these, you might need to be patient and wait until this FOMC is out of the way, or put a sell stop in or something like that. If they're hawkish, you might be able to jump on board. What the technical analysis is showing us, whether the fundamentals agree with that, well, it doesn't matter if it goes long, does it? If you're not in the trade, you're just putting a sell stop in. Right, US dollar Swissy, another one that's really hard work, isn't it, at the moment? It looks on this 4 hourly, if this was to stay where it was, and certainly on the hourly, it looks like it's trying to push back up again. Seeing dollar strength coming back into these markets effectively, and it's looking like it wants to push up there. Euro yen, come on Euro yen, come down. I'm sitting in a short trade on the Euro yen, and it's been very awkward. It's a mess, a consolidated mess. We need to see it break down, and well, there's the potential for it to do so. Yeah, it looks all right. I need it to move quite a bit though. Yeah. Anyway, euro pound, this is also coming back off. It's just showing the pound is gradually clawing its way back against some of the currencies where it was failing before, such as the Aussie, the New Zealand and CAD. It's all up against all of them today at the moment, looking a little bit more like it's got a bit more potential against this. This is the pound Aussie. Quite a nice clean move. It's okay if you put a buy stop there. You might be in the trade at the moment. But anyway, not a great deal happening there. It seems like I know it's a bit Groundhog Day-ish, but when we see things move, they move. Right, let's have a quick look at gold. Gold had a good move yesterday, and then it's been coming off since. But I wouldn't trade against a bigger trend of the upside. Look, it's just finding a bit of support by the looks of things off its 4 hourly 34. I should have bought this yesterday. I saw this and I was put off by the fact the pivot might have just provided resistance, and on the short term here it was a bit weakish looking, but everything else was saying buy. And the consolidation wasn't at the lows, it was away from the lows to the upside, so that it has more potential then to flick off, and it eventually did, but I didn't buy it anyway. Maybe it could be a buy if it comes back down towards the today's pivot there. Might have something in there. Right, oil, another stubborn market, and we have the news out later, but I don't mind these when you're short on something like this. I don't mind the market coming and holding and consolidating, because it's more of a swing. I was still looking at that sort of $70 area. It's still putting the overall pattern here is fine. It looked quite nice yesterday at one stage, back here actually, which I'm glad I didn't trade it earlier than my rules say. It's alright, I don't trade this until the I won't even look at it until the afternoon. It's the afternoon it kicked off, but if I'd been selling at that point, my normal sort of area would have been below the pivot there. I'd currently be underwater, but the bigger picture and the bigger trade I'm sitting in here is fine. That's the comforting fact sometimes of trading for over a longer period, so long as you can get the direction. And who knows, this could still come back and spoil things, but it's up okay at the moment. Right, equity markets, they're up this morning. The S&Ps are up anyway. So as expected, we've just seen it crawl back towards the gap there on the futures. It's not quite got there yet, but I wouldn't bet against it going up there today. Higher lows, higher highs. Looking good. Okay, the FTSE and Nasdaq. A quick look at the Nasdaq. This was the most damaged one, but this has been chopping anyway. It wasn't just that bit of news outlook. It's been having a bit more of a harder time, and there's sort of this was all brought about DeepSeek, the AI software that was brought in a lot cheaper by the Chinese company. I've actually tried it for trading, for producing a indicator, and it actually works. DeepSeek actually works better than ChatGPT. I've done a little video on it to show you, so it's on YouTube at the moment. I'll give you the links later, but if you're on YouTube, you just go and find it. It's there. It's the most recent update. Anyway, yeah. It's working its way back up of these markets, and I just wanted to look at the detail below. In fact, the Dow had looked really good, and this is the one that's coming off a little bit at the moment. It's not far yesterday from its all-time highs again. It's hanging in there. It's break of the high today would see it going in there and having a chance of a decent shove up still. Right, FTSE. I know when these markets are all a bit toppy, everyone wants to short them because they think it's time for it to come down now. But you've got to look at the big bias on these markets. One, there, with potential in the future interest rates coming down, equity markets generally push the other way. Trump is very pro stocks. He's got his portfolio to look after, don't you know? FTSE's not looking so bright this morning. It's structurally still in this sort of near-term uptrend, but it's looking like in the short term here that it might want to change. I mean, a break of the low from the 28th of January there could signify a lower high and a bit more softness. And finally, the DAX continuing making new highs here this morning. It's already just made one, so it's pulled off a bit in the last 4 hours, but again through the Asian session pushing up, solid movement overall, trend is up. I would only be looking for longs. Okay, right, I shall leave you there. I should wish you a great day's trading. Watch out later for the FOMC. With the expectation of it being left alone, there's probably not too much concern in the markets at the moment. Right, catch you later. Bye for now. There we go.